All right, Crystal Abitz. Welcome to the Bluffton Buzz. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we were just kind of doing some prep here and talking about all the things you do. Well, let's go through some acronyms or abbreviations first. Crystal Abitz, PhD, which is a
Doctor of Philosophy,
Doctor of Philosophy, LMT,
Licensed Massage Therapist,
and CSCS.
Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist.
Awesome. So you own Legacy Wellness. I'm just going through your marketing materials here. Assisted stretching, massage therapy, movement training.
Yes.
And then you have this right here, which is like different from this, but I love it. And as we've talked about, and even what you said with dissertation, ooh, I used a big word today. You did your dissertation, and that was something that was a little different. But when you tie all these things together, you got a really cool business.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So the other portion, we'll touch on each one. This is offering Legacy Wellness, offering values-based personal and professional development services for individual, small companies, and large corporations. Let's start here. Is that cool? So
sure.
tell me about this, because it feels self-serving to me, because we used a great example of how this would work in my company, a construction company. All right. So tell me more about this first.
More about that. Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of came about during the pandemic, as a lot of things did. I was feeling burned out. Oh, everybody was, right? And I was like, what can I do? What can I offer to other people to get myself out of my own slump? Be who you need, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
I love that.
I spoke with a few people. We were living in Michigan at the time. And it's like, wait, people are burned out because their values aren't in what they're currently doing. They're going through the motions. It's not part of who they are. It has nothing to do with what they want to become or be remembered by. And they're just doing it. But if we can connect back to our personal values, identify your personal values first. Some people probably don't even know what they are. But once we identify our personal values and then build our businesses, build our goals, build our schedules around those personal values and make that part of who we are and what we're doing every day, then we can feel more fulfilled and we can have a more rewarding life.
Right.
So with this, when we were in Michigan, I actually led the professional development for a group of superintendents at the schools.
Cool.
Everyone thinks teachers are burned out.
Right.
Well, so are the higher ups. It was during the pandemic. Everything was kind of, different.
Yep.
Everyone was struggling, and they brought me in, and we talked about personal values. We talked about, who are you? Bring in a photo of a time when you were genuinely happy. And they did. That was their little homework for me before I got there. So they each had their photo, only to include themselves, not their family, not someone else, not happy because of someone else or because of, I'm happy because my kid's happy or doing well in sports. No. Think of a time when you were genuinely happy. Think of that photo that you have. And that's what they brought in. So we talked about these photos and what were you doing? What were you experiencing? What
Is this
was
like being on
life like?
vacation, like happy, sitting on the back of a cruise ship? Is it
For
you
someone,
just cashed a big check? Like,
yes.
What level of happiness, like?
So for some, it was just the pure joy. Joy and happiness are different. So joy is more of that instant moment, right? So a lady brought in, like you said, cruise ship. She was on vacation, just her, and she actually had a cigar and a martini. And that's what her picture was. She was genuinely happy in that moment, more of a joy thing. Someone else, it was a picture of herself, but she was completely exhausted. It was after her first child was born. She was happy. Someone else, previous profession. They brought in all these pictures, and that's that moment. Someone else, they were on a big trip, rock climbing adventure or skydiving. They were happy in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, we didn't know that about you. We didn't know that about you. So it immediately brought them together as more of a team.
So you're talking about this in a group setting?
In a group setting, there were 8 superintendents in the room, all around the conference table, and they got to know each other more on a deeper level. Okay. But then they also got to connect with who they used to be. Now they're drowning in paperwork, drowning in all the things, businessy things, school things. Yeah. But they used to have these activities, these hobbies, and they lost them. Skydiving guy, we didn't know you did that. Cool, tell us about that. And you could see he just lit up instantly, telling everybody about his awesome trip. Right. And then from there, we went into, okay, so how can we bring this back into the classroom setting? How can we bring this back into your offices? Okay, on the back side of that, how do you want to be remembered? If you were to die today, how do you want to be remembered? What are people going to say about you? 2 separate thoughts there. What are people going to say about you, and how do you want to be remembered? Now, how can we bridge that gap? You want to be remembered as fun-loving, youthful spirit, adventurous. But people might remember you as overworked, burned out, exhausted. How can we get it back together? So that was one of their activities then, one of their assignments, I guess, from me was think about how you can bring this back into your workplace setting. So maybe it's listen to different music. Put a picture on the wall. If you have a certain color that brings out your personality, brings out your energy, bring that into your decor. Different conversations. Maybe there's a group chat. Maybe there's, something you can physically put on your desk that when you look at it, you're like, oh, that reminds me.
I do that with my son.
Just the little things.
He gave me a little gummy bear, but it's like a squeezy bar, not one you eat, which I almost ate because I thought it was. Anyway, it's on my dash now. So when it hits the fan, I go,
So it goes
my
back.
center.
Exactly. It's grounding, it's centering.
Yeah.
It goes back to your personal values, not just, so many people talk about your why. What is your why? What is your why? What is your why?
I was going to bring that up.
I feel it's overused. What is your why? What is your why?
It's that overwhelms me sometimes.
Your why and your purpose. Okay,
yeah.
Here's my purpose today, but knowing me and my brain and the way it goes like this, maybe a little, some people say neurospicy, neurodivergent, all over the place. This is my purpose today. Well, next week, this is my purpose. And this is my purpose. It's not so much about finding your purpose, but what is your passion? What lights you up? I can feel the heat coming to my face. What gets you excited?
Yeah.
What invigorates you? So that when you do have those dull moments or those times of, you get locked in your office, your house, seclusion, or a lull in business, the numbers aren't rolling in like you want them to, or the connections aren't there, or something fell through, or there's a personal situation and you have a lull, your dog dies. What situations, and you're down here, okay. Not your purpose. Your purpose in that moment is maybe to be with your family.
Yeah.
That's not your greater overarching purpose is to be right here in this moment.
You have little micro moments that add up into a big, cyclical big moment.
Yeah, and then your passion is like the thing that brings you that fire, that flame.
To go a little deeper on it, do you feel like your passion would be like your common thread that can pull you through all the micro moments, like kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel?
That's a good way to put it. I haven't thought about it like that.
Okay. Well, because I go through this a lot. I'm very big into self-development. And have you heard of Simon Sinek?
Of course.
Of course, right? So I did like this why exercise. It's a funny story.
Yes.
So he goes, ask like 5 of your best friends and then ask them why. And it's like the 7 layers of why or something. And by the time I got to layer 3, I realized 2 things. I only have 2 best friends. One of them is super busy and she tried to give me the quickest answer ever. And the other one asked me if I was okay. Like, do you need to talk, bro? And I was like, no, man, I'm just doing this exercise and trying to figure out my why. And you're giving me these, you think I'm suicidal questions. And I'm like, oh, dude. And so it's so hard for, I think, grown adults to find when you're trying to continually sharpen your saw and self-develop. And you start hitting these roadblocks of like, well, this guy who knows all about the why, and I'm trying to figure out mine, told me to do this. And I realize I have no friends. And my friends think I'm going to jump off a bridge. And I'm really just trying to figure out me better, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm not going that route. And so I just feel like as I'm trying to figure things out as well, and this is a great conversation to have with you, is like sometimes, to your point, and it happened to me, I don't know if that's why you brought it up or not, but the dog died in December, and that's just and then I lost a project manager, and then just everything hit the fan, and and then everybody else was having a bad December, it seemed like. So I'm pretty good at blocking out, I'm empathetic, but also protecting my energy. Penetrated in December. It got me good. So, and it took me a while to roll out of that. And then I kept reading. I kept sharpening the saw and developing and reading. Have you ever heard of a book called Psycho-Cybernetics?
I've not.
Incredible book. I can go so deep into it. But it's like the first, it's before Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
You're right. So it's very similar ideas. But it wasn't just about think happy things and good things are going to happen to you, right? There's a lot of action involved, but it was mostly about the brain itself. And I know you have a background in this too, so you could probably correct me on all the things I misunderstand here. But basically, your brain's a computer. Your brain isn't the operator. You're the operator, and we are so used to our brains telling us how to act, think, do, and all these things. And it's about retraining your brain, and your operating system is how they talked about it back then. And they were just using, the book was from the 50s. It's very rudimentary, self-guided torpedoes were like the technology back then. So he used that, which is a good thing, right? So I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but really what I learned in that is like keep the focus. So to what you were saying, back to like the light at the end of the tunnel, is as you go through these micro moments, remember and at least keep your hand on like that one balloon that's going to pull you through and keep you going. Yeah. Am I on the right track with that?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I say sure. I'm thinking about your little gummy bear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, you get a bad phone call and you're like, okay, what's gonna get me home tonight?
Yeah.
A gummy bear.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And gosh, you just said so much.
I tend to do that. I have so much more. Are you ready?
I am. No. So you said a couple of things in there. And
that's why I've been taking notes
I know,
on the back of your massage intake form.
Yes. Go ahead if you have something else.
No,
or I can circle back too.
No, so we were talking about team building, right? Yes. And that's why I was like, oh, this is kind of self-serving because I love all of this stuff and I have a team and
I got it.
You got it?
I got it.
Bring it on.
I got it. I used to be an elementary education teacher. So if you want to talk.
Is that what that means? Oh, okay. I don't know.
Instead of raise your hand.
I thought you might have to sneeze or something.
Nope. Okay. Team meeting here, I got it. So if you can get to know your employees on a personal level, what are their personal values? You don't have to memorize them and have a conversation about it every day. But if we can get to know each one on more of a personal level, so that it's not just about the company, it's not just about productivity, not just about, hey, you like to go grab a drink and shoot some pool later, but what's their passion?
Like what makes you tick.
Exactly. Okay. And get to know each one of them. So that's kind of what we did in that superintendent's meeting too. Okay, you like adventure. We get to know each one, so that way when they are having a lull, we each have those. We can reach out and say, hey, not just are you okay, are you crazy, but what else is there? What can we do for you? Or you don't even have to ask then. You can just drop off that something. Here's your Starbucks. You're a Starbucks junkie. Here's your Starbucks. Here's your whatever it is. You like purple pens. Here's your purple pen. Yeah. The little things throughout the day, throughout the week, those add up. Yeah.
We did like a team building thing and like a thank you thing. We took everybody bowling. And it was cool. We had fun, right? People had some beers. We ate a lot of, just the local Station 300 bowling alley, chicken wings, pizza, the whole nine. But it just felt very like, after being there, I felt like this isn't what I wanted. This feels like let's just forced hangout and bowl. And it's so transactional, bowling, which I love bowling. But when you're doing a team building thing, I'm like, I want to get to know these guys better. Exactly. And all we're doing is taking turns and hoping we beat each other. I'm like, this isn't working.
Right. And that's what a lot of this is about.
I love Station 300, though. I'm just saying. It's fun there. And I love the arcades.
That's what a lot of this is about, is to get the whole group back together.
Right.
There's a place for fun, like we talked about earlier. There's a place for fun. But not everybody wants to be there, because you said, too, it's almost forced. It's forced hangout time. Right. Which is good to an extent, but then by the end of it, you're like, why are we here? What are we doing? Yeah. How is this benefiting us when I would rather be at home with my spouse? I would rather be,
I'm a very growth person personally, and then when it comes to the business, we're all flying by the seat of our pants. And then to stop and do a team building thing is stopping business, right?
So it has to be productive, and it has to be developmental, personally and professionally, something that can build you and grow with you so that you can take it to the next meeting, so that you can have a quick phone call and touch back on something that we had a conversation or an activity about. You might call somebody in 2 weeks and say, hey, remember that bowling time? Like, you're not really going to do that. Though.
No. Remember when I kicked your ass in bowling?
Yeah.
Now you're fired. Ha!
Yeah, that's not good business practice.
No. I was just joking.
But what I am learning here, though, is if we talk about a thread that takes you through, if you want to use that example.
Let's do it.
Yours, possibly, is personal development. Okay. Reading and learning and experiencing and exploring and doing all these things. You had that lull December, and that's what you did. That's what you gravitated towards. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here, too. Everything, not everything, I don't know you personally, but if you think in your head about different activities you enjoy, different conversations, interactions you have with people, your social circle, if there's a common thread throughout, it might be something close to personal development. Yeah,
no, it really is. I mean, to jump to the back of your pamphlet, I didn't know this about you. We've chatted on Facebook, and I love what you're doing, and you're great with your marketing. And it says you're a highly valued keynote, inspirational speaker, and workshop facilitator. If you talk to 20-year-old Ryan, that's all I wanted to do. I used to work in radio. I worked on a morning show, multiple, but that was like my dream. And when you were talking about like where was your happiness, and in my head I'm like, shit, I don't even know where my happiness? It's like, I love my kid. I love my fiance. But like, that's like kind of like common sense, right? But like, where's my happiness? And then my brain, as we're chatting, started going back to like, I was flying by the seat of my pants happy in radio, right? And then back to 20-year-old Ryan, I always want to be a motivational speaker, but then you start hearing from the outside chatter like, well, what are you motivating people on? You're 20 years old.
Right.
Right, which A, makes sense, but then B, also makes you think, oh, now I need to go do something to come back to this. But what happens is, not to go off on a tangent again, but you start...
That's your other thing.
Yeah, I'm always over here.
Personal development and tangents.
Yeah, no, but I think everything does have a story though, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like you do and do and do to build up the experience to go for that bigger goal, but all of a sudden that goal just gets piled up on and you forgot why you were all doing all this.
And now here you are driving around, checking on your builders, checking on whoever, checking on whatever, and comforting little one and taking care of this, and you're like, well, I'm burned out, I'm exhausted, now what's my why? Well, I don't know what my why is. It's lost. Does that even matter? Yeah. I'm however old. Why does my why matter?
Like 20 years later.
This is what I'm doing now. Who cares what my why is?
Yeah.
But what's your passion?
Right. And then you start going back to that. So how do we help people find that? So now it's not about me. How do we help people? Because you brought up personal values, and then I even wrote down, how do you keep them? Right? Because that goes to what I just mentioned in my experience. But for folks that have been back to schools, right? Because I know schools are just a machine of time and repetitiveness, and you just turn into a drone there. A lot of people do.
Thank you.
They do. No, I say that because I have teacher friends.
Okay.
I have young teacher friends who have worked next to teacher friends that have been there for 30 years.
Oh, you're talking about from the teacher perspective. I thought you meant for those of us who stayed in school for far too long.
Oh, no. That's a whole nother crazy thing. I'm not going on another tangent. No, it's for like actual teachers as an example, right? Like or anybody that's just in this corporate monotonous thing. Why I even have values? I'm just a part of a machine. I'm in a cog in a wheel. How do we get people to remembering and learning their values and caring about them, and then figuring out I need to make an adjustment to be in line with those because I actually will be happier?
I can't give away all my secrets.
Well, you need to.
This is what I do. Okay, take a look at the logo.
Okay. Legacy Wellness, and it's a feather. So you're a big Forrest Gump fan.
I have to say yes because we're local. So Legacy Wellness. Can I tell you our story?
Yes.
Okay. Going back a little bit, not too far, middle of the pandemic, we were living in Michigan. My husband is in the Marine Corps. That's where he was stationed. Okay. At the time, Michigan in December is...
Miami, yeah, sure.
Snowy, cold, icy, dark. Okay. Yep. So we were in Michigan. He's on recruiting duty, his second time. It's not a good duty to have. Pandemic, they couldn't reach the schools because everything was shut down. They're struggling. He was working 16 plus hours a day. I had a 1.5-year-old and a newborn, and I was supposed to be writing my research, doing my dissertation, and I was life, and then she broke her leg, and then we all got poison ivy. Like, there's just everything happening, not at the same time, but just way too much going on. And I said, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm trapped in the house. I don't get to go out. Everything around me is shut down. I can't even just push a stroller at the store because everything is closed. We don't live near family. We just moved here. I don't know anybody. Here we are in the middle of dark, depressing Michigan winter in a pandemic. And I want to be doing my research or coaching my athletes or doing something. But instead, I got a kid spitting up on me, another kid climbing on me, and too much. Okay. Now you got the context for our story. Okay. We were out for a walk. Rare moment that both kids were sleeping in the double stroller at the same time. Rare moment that he was home. We're out for a walk. I said, hey, I want to start a business. And he said, okay, what are you going to do? It's like, I don't know, something with wellness. Like, no, you can't use wellness. I was like, why can't I use wellness? Like, I don't know, people are going to think like multi-level marketing type wellness things. And at this point, I was about halfway done with the PhD program. So you have a master's degree, you've got Division I strength and conditioning coaching experience. You can't use just wellness. Do something different. Right. It's like, fine, I want to do massage therapy, personal training. I know, legacy wellness. And he's like, legacy? You can't have legacy because people are going to think it's finances or wealth management. And I was like, legacy wellness, that's it. And it needs a feather. He's like, what needs a feather? I was like, my business, it needs a feather. He's like, I thought you wanted to do personal training. Why does it need a feather?
Yeah.
And we're just going back and forth. I was like, no, that's what it is. It's legacy wellness. And we're pushing the stroller. It's snowing. I was like, legacy wellness. And there's a feather. And there's birds flying. If you look, there's birds flying off the ass.
Oh, that's what that is.
So he's like, what are you talking about? He still had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about either, but here's what's in my head. This is my moment. So this is it. When we walk somewhere, we see a feather, we know that there were birds there, right? Mm-hmm. So when birds drop their feathers, it's how we know they were there. Mm-hmm. So anytime you go somewhere, leave a conversation, an interaction, a community. We're military. We've moved a lot. Anytime you leave a workplace, grocery store, you're dropping feathers. It's that snapshot of you that lets somebody know you were there. Mm-hmm. So what does your feather say about you? When you leave a space and you drop a feather, is it broken? Is it dull? Is that overworked, burned out, stressed version of you? Or is it colorful like a peacock feather? Is it playful? Is it youthful? Is it fun-loving? So what is your feather saying about you? Now, if you think about your feather, think about all the feathers you dropped yesterday, every interaction you had, every time you left a store or a gas station or somewhere, you dropped that little snapshot of you. Because sometimes we never see people again. That's all they get to know of us. How are they going to remember you? So we use our feather not as a place of regret, or I should have said this differently, or I could have held the door for that person. Not as a place of regret, but as an opportunity to reflect. Okay. Reflect on who you are in this moment. Now, who do you want to become? So if you want to get back to the place of happiness, that place of passion, what changes do you need to make in your lifestyle to get you there? So we've got the feather, current moment, birds flying off the S is who you want to be. So what changes do you need to make to get back to that person? Maybe not get back to it, because sometimes we don't want to go back in time, because we might be better than we used to be. Yeah. Right?
But you can take little things from it.
You can reflect, learn from it, and then grow with it. So who are you? Who do you want to become? And then when you work with me, that's how we figure out what steps do you need to take to get there. Okay. So for some people, going into what I do in here, pain management. You might be experiencing so much pain that you're just grumpy and you're just not nice to the people around you. Have you ever experienced that level of pain?
Of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's like, I can't turn my head. I woke up one morning, or I've got this chronic back pain, or I'm starting to get a little older and I'm not ready to accept that, so I'm just grumpy about it.
All the things click and pop, and
old sports injuries, old whatever injuries popping up, and now you're just like a complete jerk to everybody. Is that how they're going to remember you? Or is there something else we can do? So, yes, we've got a couple pieces here. We've got this. Then we also have the hands-on side of things. So which is that. So that's what I do in here. Okay. Is working with the pain management side of things, so that when we can clear up some of those issues, get more mobility, reduce your pain, you can move better, you can play with your kids, you can get on the floor and get back up. You can keep golfing, you're 65, 70 years old, your buddies are doing it, why can't you? Well, let's keep you out there. And then your feather, it all goes together. Then your feather can be that pretty feather again, instead of the broken feather, the dull gray feather.
The Angry Birds feather.
The Angry Birds feather, yeah. So
I'm more of like a Jersey seagull, almost steal your hoagie feather.
Whatever your
Which
feather
is fiercer
saying,
than an American eagle feather, I'm just telling you.
So it's whatever your feather, what you want your feather to be, you can kind of design it. Yeah. So that's legacy wellness in a nutshell.
What's your feather?
Most days it's like a glittery, sparkly peacock feather.
Okay. What's your feather, JC? You got chickens. I can hear his chickens from my backyard. Your chicken feather for sure. His dog was barking the other day. I thought his chickens were sick.
Oh my goodness. No, it doesn't have to be like a real bird feather.
I know, but I also like the imagery of like, what would your feather be that you leave behind?
Yeah, so mine is like a peacock feather, but with some glitter on there.
Yeah, no, I think as much as I take pride in the official bird of New Jersey being the Jersey Shore Seagull, I think I would be an American eagle feather because of what that bird stands for to the country, is how I try to stand tall and proud. And even if I'm having a bad day, or I just made a post about this, like that's on my hoodie, like integrity, right? Like that's what I'm really about. So even to a fault, even if I have to do something where it doesn't benefit me and I got to eat shit, I'm going to do it. And even if I'm having a situation right now with how do I phrase this properly? Some crazy customers, and you got to know when to stand your ground too.
That's right.
So that's who I am.
Integrity.
I have integrity for myself too, though. Like, I know when to balance it. I've been through a bunch, and I haven't been through the worst or the best, but I've been through enough to know how to treat people. And I think that's my biggest thing is I really treat people fairly. My feather is an American bald eagle feather with a little bit of all the colors on it. So when you come through, when you pick that feather, I'll be like, damn, that bird was here.
That's what you want.
Yeah. You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
He's got my back.
A colorful, sparkly glitter. So if I can elaborate a little bit,
Yeah.
I want to catch people's attention.
Yeah.
So that we can have these conversations. That's what I want. I
Yeah.
want to catch people's attention and say, hey, what's that over there? And then we can have these conversations to get you to be that over there, whatever
Right.
that over there is for you. Yours is that American bald eagle feather. So if you're drifting a little bit and you're more like a crow feather one day,
Well,
how can
yeah.
we get you back? So you're going to be walking along and be like, what's all that glitter? Why is it shiny? What is that over there? And then we have these conversations, and then you get back to your bald eagle feather. Attention grabber.
Yeah. No, now I'm
That's
thinking
it.
like, yeah, I'm proud of my bald eagle feather, but also I'm not glittery, sparkly feather. That ain't me. But I am like, what's a bird that doesn't shut up? I don't know why an emu just popped in my head. Could you imagine a bald eagle and an emu
No.
creating a feather? Because they stick their heads in the car and they're hungry. They get what they want too. They're like a Jersey Shore bald. Maybe I am just a freaking seagull. They don't shut up either. I am a New Jersey seagull.
There you are.
Yes.
Now you're a seagull.
Sorry, bald eagle. Seagulls get theirs too. They stand proud. They're
There
fed.
you go. There you go.
Yeah, they share
So-
sometimes.
Yeah. So moving on a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got what you have on your shirt, and I'm going to point out. In my office, I only wear mental health awareness shirts
Okay.
or PTSD awareness shirts.
Okay.
Because that's part of the work I do also.
Tell me about it.
So Dr. Abitz, I'm not a medical doctor. That's for PhD. So I cannot diagnose
But you got a PhD,
injuries. Right. Some people are confused.
I am some people.
Right.
Talk to me.
PhD, but not medical doctor.
Okay.
So I cannot diagnose anything. I don't have any imaging.
You're not
in
writing me
here.
a script.
I'm not writing prescriptions for anything.
Let's get out of here, JC. I'm
I've
joking.
got some great CBD products, but I'm not
Okay.
writing prescriptions for anything.
Cool. We can talk about these in a minute.
So
Just looking. Cool.
that's the doctor side of it. But with the mental health side of it, I'm a trauma-informed therapist. So I do massage therapy, Thai massage, sports massage, mat Pilates, a variety of other things. The mental health side of it comes out.
Okay.
So I'm not a licensed counselor. I refer out when necessary, not a psychologist, all that.
Okay.
But being a trauma-informed therapist, I can hold space. I can empathize. I can be here for conversation, provide a safe space. As we're working through the physical pains, a lot of times the emotional pain resurfaces.
Who are your dream clients? In a tough situation where you need a lot of empathy, but like, who can you help the most with that background?
A lot of my clients are veterans.
Okay. We have a
Everybody
huge
experience-
veteran base here.
Yeah. Everybody experiences trauma. The minute you're born, you're traumatized, essentially.
yeah.
So I mean, you go from warm and cozy to
You're stuck
naked
in a
and
tunnel.
afraid.
Yeah.
And cold and all
TV
these
show?
bright lights and
Yeah.
yeah, it is. So like that's your trauma, and trauma doesn't mean bad car accident. It doesn't have to be a very traumatic, labor and delivery process. It doesn't have to be trauma at war. It doesn't have to be all of that. It could be the simple thing like, hey, my boss yelled at me and I'm traumatized, and that's okay. You're holding on to this fear inside of you and you don't process it fully. If you're traveling and you're trying to get your luggage overhead and you smack your elbow, you can't just put on a big show of emotional expression right there, or you're gonna get kicked off the plane.
Pretty easily,
right?
yeah.
So you just say ow and you keep moving. Stub your toe, same thing. You just suck it up and keep going.
Right.
In the middle of a meeting, same thing.
Trying
Right?
to teach my toddler that right now.
No. They have
Put
to
a spidey
flail.
web on it.
They have to flail.
Yeah.
So there's so many little traumas that we experience that we don't think about,
Okay.
but our body holds on to that. If it's not processed, it's stored within us somewhere.
But then you said, you
So-
deal with a lot of military folk
Military,
who go through some major trauma.
there's some PTSD. Oh yeah, and other
Yeah.
traumas.
Yeah.
So when that comes up, again, I hold space for it, help them talk through it if they want to talk through it. A lot of times people don't want to talk through it.
And you do it in a setting like this where you, hey, sit down, let's talk.
Nope,
Or is
it's
it while you're on the mat?
While I'm on the mat. So
Okay.
while we're doing the physical, the massage portion, while we're doing that, the deeper work, therapeutic work, then the conversation, they get so relaxed and comfortable with me that they just start talking.
Okay.
It's almost like a talk therapy, but I'm not providing counseling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And the somatic, the way the brain and the body and everything's connected, once we can move through some of those pain points and the body is like, I can breathe again, then emotions surface again. And it's not always like they don't have to talk through war or their experiences, but sometimes just being in a space where they feel connected is so healing. If I were to ask you, what's your chief complaint as far as physical pains, what would you say? If you could pick one.
I'll start with I feel pretty lucky that I don't have a lot of pains. I have like a knee injury.
Just name one.
More than anything, this shoulder.
Okay, so you've got a shoulder.
Let's go here.
Okay, so that's your number one. What's your number two?
This knee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number three.
Not really on number three.
Okay, so if we work through your number one,
Yep.
it's not a fix it, it's not a cure, but if we work through number one, and that kind of goes away, now all of a sudden your brain is going to accept your number two as your number one.
Right. So everything gets worse? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so you might come to me with back pain and leave with neck pain.
Okay. So that's part of your shtick. That's how you keep us coming back, right?
We work through something,
joking.
and I know you are.
Yeah.
We work through something, and when that is relieved, your body can accept it,
Okay.
process it, move through it. Okay, I got greater range of motion now. That's great. But now I'm realizing and able to experience and accept this knee pain, which I couldn't focus on before because my attention was up here.
Yeah.
So as we move through something else might surface.
So you're saying that you actually had pains in other places, you just don't feel them because number one, number two are taking up 3, 4, and 5's attention.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
You got it. And
Okay.
so as we work through number one, number two, now 3, 4, 5 becomes 1, 2, 3. And as we work through the physical, a lot of times the emotional comes up, the social, the experience. Oh, that's because I forgot I fell off a horse when I was a kid. Or, oh yeah, this started hurting when I was having that one conversation with my mom. And your body just kind of trapped it all.
What if it's just as simple as this is hurting because for some reason, probably just because I'm getting old, but I was doing like some sort of row and it hurt my shoulder, but I don't know why because the shoulders don't work the rows.
Yeah, there's not always the emotional component.
Yeah.
Not always, but a lot of times.
Okay.
So you don't have to come in here and
Doesn't have
plan
to be
to cry. No.
an emotional.
It doesn't have to be an emotional
Okay.
experience. Absolutely not.
Do you get recommended from like other facilities, doctors, whoever? Like, do you get leads from other people? So if somebody goes to Dr. A and they're like, you should go see Crystal.
Yep. Physical therapist, occupational specialist, not occupational, orthopedic specialist.
Okay.
Physical therapist. I got, who else? Chiropractors.
So you get a lot of leads from them.
Yep.
Okay.
And I have a handful of clients who have Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be big, tough warrior type. You know, there's a process to it where I meet the client where they are too.
Yeah.
So what are their needs on that day?
Gotcha.
So I have a couple with neuropathy, a couple with Parkinson's disease, you know, the older clientele, especially in this area. And then I have some who are younger and more physically active with the MMA gyms and
Just getting
big variety.
Yeah. Okay. I'm real big into the mental health thing, especially for the military folks, because I think, and I'm just being honest, guys and some women, but mostly guys, from my experience, they enjoy doing it to an extent. They get into the military because there's like, yeah, this is cool. This is what I want to do. My brother was always that kid since he was a little kid, right?
Right.
I wasn't really, and they tried recruiting me, and I was like, I don't know. And then the Iraq War popped off, and I was like, nah, I'm good. It's not for me. But my brother was like, send me in, right? So there's a sense of adventure for certain guys. And then they go through these things that either they know are coming and they're not prepared for. I don't think anybody's ever prepared for any of that. And then there's other people who don't know it's coming, and I think that hits them even harder. Do you see like a common thread through the folks you work with? I'm trying to think forward for you and for a potential customer, client, somebody you could help. Like, what are some of their ailments? What?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like if somebody hears this, that you understand them.
Oh, I forgot we were being recorded for a minute. I was just getting all excited.
Oh.
Yeah. Hi.
We're here.
We're still here. Okay. Yeah. So
We haven't left.
I have to say that my clients who are veterans, all of those clients are men.
Okay.
They're coming. A lot of them are older. We've got some Vietnam War guys who are coming in.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot to tell you I got shot in the back. Oh, okay, thanks. They literally forget.
Yeah.
You know, when we are in those types of panic situations, we literally stuff it down, and our brain allows us to forget it so we can continue doing life. Mm-hmm. Now, for some of these younger veterans, by younger, I think I had one who was 34, and I had a couple in their 40s. My husband is a great example. He's approaching 40. Iraq War, all the things. Their biggest things that I'm seeing over and over is neck and low back and feet. They're in their boots all the time.
Yeah.
I have a client, not a veteran, who wears cowboy boots. I'm like, your feet hate you right now. They look cool, but your feet hate you. We had the conversation. I worked on his feet. He's like, oh, I didn't know they were sore until you touched them. Sorry, but yes.
Yeah.
And we worked through his feet. We got some alignment in his hips. And then before you know it, his neck felt better because everything is connected. And his next appointment, he was not wearing his cowboy boots because he learned.
Yeah.
He listened, he learned, and he wants to get better.
Good.
So I reach out to the people who want my help.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to go fishing for anybody and offering,
Yeah.
I want everybody to come in. No, I want to work with the people who want to help themselves.
Gotcha.
Are you going to make these lifestyle changes at home too? Because we're only with each other for an hour or an hour and a half or however long your appointment is. I can't be with you every other hour of the day of the week. So you have to take what we do in here and practice it at home sometimes too. So that's where the assisted stretching and exercises come in too, because I always educate. Tell you what you can be doing at home, what you could be doing differently or not doing.
Right.
Take that home. We want it to be a lifestyle change, and then come back and let's see
So
what
is
you're
this
doing.
physical first, or is this mental first? Mental, emotional.
Is what?
Your approach is the business. Do you fix body parts first and talk through the emotional stuff and the mental stuff, or are you here to do the mental stuff and the distraction is I'm also fixing your body?
Well, yeah, you got it figured out, but people don't know about that part. They don't
Can we talk
know.
about it?
Absolutely, but I mean, like, people don't put it together until they're on the mat.
I was a kid that always liked to figure out how the magic tricks work. So
they
that's
don't
why we're
know
here.
it. They're like, oh, my shoulder hurts. I saw our ad on Facebook. I might as well go try it.
Right.
Nobody else figured it out.
Because you could go to any
my neck
massage
hurts.
therapy place to try that, right? So
Right.
it's
So like they try it and then they're like, oh, this is different. And
Yeah.
I already feel better. When do I
Okay.
need to come back? How often do I need to come back?
Right.
So I don't try to market it or say, hey, you have mental issues. We should talk.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a licensed counselor.
Right.
And with mental health things, you don't say that to somebody.
Of course.
Like, how did you feel when your buddies were asking if you were okay? When you're talking about the why.
Yeah, I was actually really
Why?
frustrated because
You're
I was like, God, I'm just really trying to fix myself. Now you make me want to jump off a bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, I was here and now you put me here. Thanks.
You make me feel here, and now you got my emotions up here. Like, I just want to know.
I'm not going to walk up to someone and say, hey, are you a veteran? Oh, great. You probably have mental health issues.
Yeah.
Come to my office.
Yeah.
I'm
Get a
not gonna say
massage,
that.
and we'll
I'm
talk
not
about
going
it.
to say that. But
Right.
if I see you like hobbling down the street or we're just in conversation and I can see you're slumped over, you've got, if you're like, as we're talking and you start doing this a little bit, say, hey, what's going on with your shoulder?
Gotcha.
Have that conversation first.
Okay.
Like, most of the veterans are going to have mental health something, right? I mean, that's kind of guaranteed with war and things. Like, I don't need to point that out to them and try to get them in.
Yeah.
If they want that, they're going to seek help somewhere else. They're not coming to me for mental health counseling. They're going to go seek that somewhere else. They're going to come to me for the pain relief. They're going to come to me because, hey, I used to be able to put my shoes on by myself, and now I can't.
Okay.
Mobility issues. Hey, I want to be stronger, but for some reason, I can't put my shoulder up all the way. What's going on? So in my practice, I guess you would say the mental emotional is a byproduct of the physical work.
Okay. So you work that out. You
And the conversation we have.
physical is first, and then the mental emotional, it ties in with it, but physical is first.
Absolutely.
Cool. I just wanted to get that out there and understand. So, military folks of all ages and backgrounds seem to be a core demographic of your business. Is there any other second or third where you're like, oh, or close, where you're like, hey, believe it or not, this kind of trade or industry or whatever?
Yeah. So it's generally, to put it broadly, it's physically active, aging population, which is pretty much all of Bluffton, I guess. But to narrow it down, it's the people who want to continue being physically active. So I have a lot of people who are golfers.
Okay.
Golf is huge. They want to keep doing it. And they're mid-50s, 60-ish, when they're like, oh, starting to feel these things, and the arthritis is starting to pop up, and whatever else. And, I know I need to stay strong. I know I need to do something for my mobility, and what I'm doing, nothing. What I'm doing isn't working. So the physically active starting to age, somewhere between mid-40s and low 60s is the majority of my clientele.
And is this a 5-session thing, or is this a once every quarter thing, or is how often should somebody come back to let's use the golf folks for an example that don't work out, no physical conditioning. They've been whacking balls their whole life, but now all of a sudden they're throwing their back out and their shoulders are hurting. And do you give them workout plans too, stuff like that? Conditioning at home?
I will never write up a program for somebody and say, go do this, because I want to see your technique.
Okay.
I want to see how are you doing what I'm going to be suggesting.
Well, you said you were a D1 coach?
Strength and conditioning coach.
Okay. So you have the background.
Absolutely.
But you still want to see how people are doing things.
I have the background. Do they have the background?
Of course not.
Exactly.
Well, most likely.
I'm not going to go to their house and coach them in their home gym.
Right.
And I'm not just going to send a workout program if I don't know what your squat technique is.
Right.
Your shoulder hurts. Well, why does it hurt? I'm not going to write up all these exercises for you without seeing it and experiencing it and watching you move. Yes, I have a strong biomechanics background.
Okay.
And strength and conditioning coaching.
Okay.
So the master's degree is kinesiology, exercise science. Focus in sport and exercise psychology. But I certified strength and conditioning specialist. So I was the first woman to be a strength and conditioning coach at the University of Northern Iowa with the football team.
Cool.
So I was football there, BYU football, Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball, the year they went to the championship.
Very cool.
Yeah. So Frank Kaminsky, if you watch football, David Johnson.
Yeah. I don't know who any of these people are,
Okay.
but
David
it's very
Johnson,
cool.
yeah.
And one of my buddies is a huge Wisconsin Badger.
Okay. So yeah, I was in there with Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker and all those guys.
Very cool.
Yes. So I love that world, but this is where we are.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to bring a little bit of that in without having the full gym setting.
Of course.
So what can we do to help you? Thanks.
Yeah.
Help you be out there doing what you love. I'm not going to write you an exercise program, but I'll coach you in your techniques. If you want to come in for a single session and say, hey, can you just check out my squat form? Can you check out this? Here's what I'm doing. What do you think? We can have that conversation.
So do you do that here, or do you go to them?
Absolutely. We'll do that here.
Do you go to people?
I could.
Okay.
If somebody wants to.
Okay. Not normally, though.
Not normally, nope. I try to keep everything right here.
Okay.
As far as how many sessions, how does this work? Booking is all online on the website, and you can find the different services there. So I have it all the way down to 15 minutes if somebody's just a quick fix.
Yeah.
I hate saying that because it's not a fix, but to get you through the day.
For sure.
But you have a busy schedule. And then the traditional, or the Thai sports massage on the mat, that's my main service. 60-minute, 90-minute appointments. So you would book a single appointment.
Okay.
During that time, we would have a conversation to see, are we a good fit?
Okay.
If we're not a good personality match, I don't want you in here.
For sure.
If I don't think I could help you, or if there's a medical condition and I want to refer that out, I'm going to refer that out.
So do you tell people hey, this isn't going to work out?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
You talked about integrity and boundaries, and I have to protect my own self as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to put all of my energy and effort into trying to help somebody if the style of work we're doing just isn't working for them. Maybe they need to go see a physical therapist, or maybe they need to go see a traditional massage therapist, something else. And then there's packages available too. So you can buy a package of 8.
Okay.
So going back to your golfer question, my golfers typically get a package.
Okay.
You get 8 appointments to be used within 90 days. Kind of like personal training where you load them up, you try to get that consistency and work through those issues. And I've had a couple success stories. So one, he just wanted to play on the floor with his grandkids and get back up and walk without his back locking up. And he came in, we had some progress, booked another appointment, doing a little better. Through conversational, if you want to call it motivational interviewing, through conversation while we're working together, because I can't be quiet for the full session, so we're conversational in here. While we're working together and having that conversation, he loves golf, but he hadn't golfed in 2 years. I was like, well, what would you do if you could get back out there? Or what's holding you back, really, is the question. What's holding you back? Well, my back. I can't walk like I used to. What if I could help you?
Okay.
Can't guarantee it, but we can try. So he bought a package, and sure enough, by the end of the 8, he was out there golfing 8 holes.
Nice.
I was like, that's awesome. Or 9 holes. 9 holes. 9.
The front 9.
9, yeah. So he was out there, he did 9 holes. That's great. He's like, I want to do 18. I was like, okay, let's try it. What's holding you back? And we talked about it. Okay, we figured it out. So we started doing some core strengthening. We started doing some posture control. We talked about his nutrition habits, lifestyle change. He bought another package. He came in. He went to Key West for Thanksgiving. Sent me a message. Hey, I did 18 holes. It is 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 9s.
Yeah. So it was like, when was the last time you did 18 holes? It's been 3 years. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
High five for that.
Yeah.
We didn't cancel a surgery,
I'm gonna give you a
but
high five.
that's it.
Okay.
I have another client. He's shooting the best in the area. So his buddies are starting to come in because they're like, what did you do?
Yeah.
We want what he has.
Good.
So that's how it's starting to spread too, is word of mouth. But these guys are getting packages where they come in twice a week.
Okay.
It's not just once and I'm done and I feel great and I'm going to conquer the world. But for some people who have specific goals, it is once or twice a week.
Okay.
And for somebody else who's like, more monthly maintenance, like you take care of your vehicles, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Get them detailed or take them, get them cleaned, take them for their oil changes and whatever other maintenance. Well, our bodies are our personal
People
vehicle.
neglect that so much.
This is my vehicle to get me through life.
Nobody realizes that. I say nobody. I say 90% of people don't realize that.
Absolutely.
Maybe more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can neglect it, and that's fine for now. You might get through, the next 5-10 years, but then what happens when you're that 70-year-old and you want to be out golfing with your buddies? They all took care of themselves. You just have to go meet them at the restaurant later.
Right.
So this is your body that you get. So you can invest your time and energy now into yourself to take care of it for later, or you can wait and then have to invest in surgeries or steroid injections or something else.
Wheelchairs. Yep.
A home nurse, right?
I get it. I preach it. I preach it.
Invest in who you are and who you want to become. Do it all right now at the forefront so that you're better off
and
later.
then back to the beginning of this conversation with
all
the values.
goes together.
People don't realize that they need to have like physical values and like respect for themselves.
Absolutely.
That just drives me crazy because people can think, personal values, and it's like, what's in here, but nobody just thinks like,
I value integrity. I value conversation, meaningful connections, community. Or they think only for business. These are my business values. It's like, these are my family values.
Well, what about yourself?
Okay, what about yourself?
Yeah.
If we take fiance put her over here, kids over here, and it's just you, what brings you joy? What brings you that happiness? Gets you not back to, but gets you to a place of, this is it.
Yep.
This is my fire. This lights me up.
It reminds me of the oxygen mask analogy in the airplane.
Yeah, take care of yourself
You
first.
got to take care of yourself first because you're never going to be able to help anybody else next to you.
That's right. So you have to take care of yourself, your physical body, your mental, emotional, all of it. And then if you're, I don't want to say a good parent, but by leading by example, then your family can do it also.
Yeah.
Make it a lifestyle for your whole family.
Noah works out with me sometimes.
That's wonderful.
Sometimes he sits there and eats Cheez-Its and Mickey premium bars, but
he's
it's
with
a
you.
crapshoot.
He's near
he's
you,
watching.
right?
He learns. He drinks BCAAs with me. Gets a little protein shake every now and then. He loves it.
And our kids, they want to learn how to massage.
Really?
So they're working on my calves at night. Absolutely.
funny.
We do yoga together.
Okay, so
Elementary, I used to be a teacher, and I taught kindergarten.
okay,
I brought yoga into the classroom.
cool.
You do it for yourselves, you do it for others, take care of yourself. I could not make it through a full day with kindergarten. I needed that mental break.
So you needed the yoga.
Everybody's doing some yoga and
That's
quiet
smart.
meditation because mommy needs it, essentially.
Should do that on the job site.
Oh yeah, everybody,
People
take
think I'm
5.
nuts. Yeah.
So, and that goes into the style of work I do too. The majority of the work is done on a mat on the floor. Fully clothed, athletic type clothing. It's movement based. I
Okay.
have a massage table. I rarely use it.
Okay.
The work that's done on the floor is better for my body. Taking your personal values into your business.
Interesting.
So, being maybe a little ADHD brained, unmedicated, and trying to do a traditional massage. Have you been to a spa?
Yeah,
Have you
I
had a
can't
traditional
stand it.
massage? I can't do it.
I don't like being
physically
massaged.
get bored
Yeah.
trying to do a massage.
Oh yeah, it's like sitting at the beach.
I was like,
What am I doing here?
I can't. physically and then try to do so many of them in a day, and it hurts my back and there's body mechanics that play into it, but really I just get bored.
Yeah.
So with this setting, we're moving, and there's corrective exercise throughout. There's some handful of dumbbells over there. There's yoga blocks. We're on the mat, on the floor. We're moving. My body's getting the good stretch throughout.
Okay.
I can move around. I'm either socks or barefoot. I'm comfortable. I'm not in, table massage trying to be a robot.
Yeah.
I
And
can
keep a
move
spa
my body.
soundtrack playing. And
I can put on whatever music. If you want reggae, we'll play reggae.
we listened to reggae this morning.
I know, you told me. So we'll put it on, and that's where the fun happens. I say, I have the science brain, but this is my creative play space.
Yep.
So
I like it.
Science, even though my brain is this much science, my practice is about this much science and this much intuition.
Okay.
What is your body telling me that your words are not? Feeling it, hearing it, moving with it gives me more information than what you're going to put on this intake form. But then
Speaking
also,
of which, yes.
yeah, we're on the mat, and it's better for my body because then I'm stretching and moving throughout.
Well, I'm so glad you're saying this, though, because you gave me this intake form that I probably legally have to fill out to be covered, cover my butt, your butt, really. But it says massage intake form. And I'm like, I saw it. I'm like, oh, crap, I hate massages. Like, I'm not a massage person.
You don't have to be in here. That's the beauty of it.
Which, after you just said what you said, I'm like, okay, I think this might be more my speed. So what are we about to do over here? What am I signing my life away for here? What do you think would be a good example to go through?
So, Thai sports massage on the mat is what I call it.
Okay.
So I got trained in massage therapy, clinical sports massage, neuromuscular, positional release, a variety of things I'm not going to bore you with.
Okay.
Got the traditional massage therapy, and I was trained in traditional Thai massage on a mat. And when I was working with some pro athletes, I had a couple of NFL linemen as massage therapy clients. And if you think of the height of the table, and then you stack their 280, 300-pound body on top of it, and think about, I'm 5'6", maybe 140, and I'm trying to give them the deep tissue. Now, if you think about it, we're like here, then their body, and I'm like, that's not good for me, and they're not getting anything out of it. It's like, hey, let's take it to the floor. They're like, what? I was like, yeah, lay on the floor. We're going to do this on the floor. I'm like, okay, just help me feel better. So I figured out a way to integrate the principles of traditional Thai massage and the clinical sports massage and blend it into a customized approach here.
Okay, cool.
So that's what we're doing. So I just need to know, and we can go off camera for this, I just need to know a little bit about your health history.
I'm all right.
Surgeries, illnesses, anything like that.
Umbilical hernia surgery. That's the only thing I ever got.
Okay, I have to ask you. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Because I have two of them, and they're not repaired. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Because it changed the way I picked my son up. I was very hesitant in lifting heavier weights because when you put so much pressure on your abdomen and you have your visceral body fat would pop through it sometimes.
Right.
So, and it would sometimes get bigger, and then you can push it back in.
I push mine back in.
And that's not good.
Okay.
It was awesome. Hilton Head Doctor. Insurance covers it. I was told insurance never covered it. They covered some of it. It was the old insurance game where I kept getting more stuff in the mail, but most of it was covered. It was, I think, a 30-minute actual surgery.
That was recovery time?
You can't move for really a day, and then you can get around a little bit. The soreness, as you know, whether you're lifting weights or a surgery, that soreness really kicks in day 2, day 3.
Right.
But I would say by day 4 or 5, you could go to work.
Okay.
I don't know about this kind of work, but you couldn't work out for a month. So this is more of a workout thing.
Oh yeah, this is my workout.
Yeah. So highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah. LASIK eye surgery and umbilical surgery all day.
I am not a candidate for LASIK. I've tried.
It's the best thing I've ever done.
Fun fact, I'm legally blind without my contacts.
Uh-oh.
But still can't do it.
Most of the drivers in Bluffton are, and they don't wear contacts. This is your first professional massage. I'll say yes at this level.
Okay.
Not pregnant, hypertension, I don't really have any medical issues. I will say, and I have no problem saying this on camera, my shoulder, it was from doing bent over rows. I feel like whenever I do something with my back, it could be a pull-up or a bent over row. And I don't know if I'm overextending in that position, but it's the front shoulder. I put a TENS unit on it every now and then, and I forgot I even had one. And when I put it on and I ran it hard, I ran it
Yeah.
Like I look like my arm was
it
flailing.
help
Oh
or not
my
help?
God. Yeah. It's like somebody put a bunch of like quick lube in there I could just.
Okay. So it helps.
Yeah, big time. But it still clicks and pops a little bit, but it doesn't hurt when I work out. Well, and that's the other thing. It limited how much weight I could put up.
Right.
Now I'm being much more careful. But even just recently, I did some heavier bent over rows than I've been doing, and I could feel it act up a little again.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's something you can help me out with, but that's where I'm at in life.
We'll take a look.
Okay, let's take a look. Go to the mat.
Sure.
I didn't wear athletic pants, but these are the athletic Levi's that have a lot of stretch and elastic in them. So.
Oh my goodness.